This video we're going to assemble the maze. Usually it's the second model. The maze has 4 lesson plans, so please follow the lesson plans one by one to see which part comes first. This video is going to be from beginning to end. We'll try to keep it as close to the lesson plans as possible, but again, as you build, just follow the lesson plans step by step. So basically we're going to start with this part right here. So all you need is 1, 2, you're going to need this part 1, 2, 3, and 4 triangles. So we're going to have 1, 2, 3, and 4. This should be carefully glued. The parts, this is the most gentle part of the maze, and this is also an important part in the maze because this holds the whole weight of the maze while it moves. So we're going to start with gluing the 4 triangles. Of course, the kids will use wood glue, only the green wood glue, but for this video, if glue is used, we're going to use super glue just for this video. So again, we start with the 4 triangles. We're going to set them like this. Make sure the kids know that the straight part is facing out and not facing in, like this. These doesn't have any direction, so wherever we want to put them, we can put them. This will go, one will go here, like this, and the other one will go here. Now you can notice that I'm working on the table and not in the air. This will help the kids keep the parts from falling apart. So work with the kids, work on the table. Once they're done, this will need to dry, so you can just place it on the table like this. So this will be the first step. You will also see it in the lesson plan. I will put this aside to dry, and I will pick it up later. So once you're glued, make it a checkpoint, check that everything is glued correctly, and we can continue. The next part will be the base. You will need this part and these 2 parts, and we're gonna glue them one by one inside right here. So this is gonna be 1, and again, I'm working on the table. I'm using the table to pressure down the parts. You can see it right here, and then I take the spaceship part, this one, and I'm just gluing it. Of course, all the parts you're seeing us pop in, the kids will use glue. Also, when you build it at home, use glue to make sure the parts are connected properly. Basically, this will be the first lesson plan. Now you can take the plate of the maze and start coloring it and designing the maze the way you want to. This will be the plate, these will be the parts, so you can start coloring them before we continue to the next lesson. We can go to the next lesson. The next lesson plan would be this part that we're using right now, and the maze itself. So what we're going to do is, let's start with the maze. We're going to pop this part out in the 4 walls. So we're going to do this part and 1, 2, 3, 4 walls. As you can see here, we already have them popped out. So we have 1, 2, 3 walls, and 4 in the maze. Okay, so we have them right here. 1, 2, 3, 4, and the maze itself. Pop out unnecessary parts like this one, and from the sides, clean the maze. And basically, these are the walls to the maze. So you can see that we have 2 with round holes and 2 that are straight. Each of them fits to a certain position on the maze. Have the kids just break them down. If they need a little bit of filing, file them down, and then just glue them again with the wood glue. Just glue the borders into their spots on the maze like this, one by one. So here we go. This is 1, There's only one way to get the parts in, so little space for mistakes, but double check when they're done just in case to make sure that they got it right, and all the parts are glued in correctly. So here we have, I'm just going to put just a drop of glue for us so it doesn't fall apart. Okay, so the kids will glue this, and you're going to put it aside so it can dry, and then we're going to continue to the next step. So I'm going to put it aside so it can dry, and we're going to take this part as I showed you at the beginning. This is still lesson plan number 2, and here we're going to need a servo head, a round servo head, and 2 bug screws. Now this is extremely important. The servo head has one flat side here, and on the other side it has a bump. This bump actually connects to the servo. So if I take a servo, for example, to show you, there's only one way to connect it. So if we screw this backwards, it's just not going to work. So make sure you double check it after you finish putting the servo heads. So the servo heads also has 4 rows of 3 holes. The screws should go only in the middle hole of every row. So you will see it right in a few seconds, but make sure when you double check, so you'll check the bump and you'll check the holes on the servo head. So how do we do that? The cleanest and easiest way would be first to take both bug screws and just screw them in just a little. Now when you're handing screwdrivers to the students, please give them safety instructions about using screwdrivers when they're not using them. If there's no need for the screwdrivers in that lesson plan, just take it back and put it on your table. If there is, they can put it in the center of the table and not touch it. So I'm just going to screw one just a little bit so I can feel the tip from the other side, and then I'm going to do the same thing with the other one. This will help us actually align the servo head. So I'm not tightening these, I'm just putting it like this. And then I will place the servo head straight in the middle, and now you can actually see the holes. You see the middle hole. I will actually put the screws in middle holes, so the center hole of the servo head would be aligned right here. So I'm gonna hold it like this, and then only then I'm gonna tighten the screws into the wood and into the servo head as tight as possible. Now if you can see, you will be able to see that the screws go into the middle hole of the servo head, and now it's aligned. So that should not be hard, but double check, make this a checkpoint, and then we're going to continue. Again, I think we're still on the lesson plan number 2. I'm going to take the maze we just assembled, and we're going to do the exact same thing. So we're going to take 2 servo head, 2 screws like this. So we have 1 and 2, and again this time we're going to put it from the inside and not outside, so you need to double check direction before you continue with the kids, because you don't want to have any mistakes when it comes to directions. It's going to be harder to fix later on. Okay, so we have the servo head and we have the 2 screws, and again this time the screws will come from the inside. Same idea exactly. I'm going to put them slightly like this, and then I'm going to put the other one just so I can feel the tip with my finger. Explain this to the kids, because in the next models they're gonna have to work exactly in the same way. So the sooner they understand how to work with the bug screws and the servo heads, the quicker they're going to learn. It's easier going to be with the next models. Again, I'm going to align them into center holes like this, hold it, and just tighten the screws as you can see here. So this will be 1, and this will be 2, like this. And you can see that the servo head, again, always focus on the bump. So you can see now that the bump is actually facing out, because this will be connected to a servo later on. Now once we're done with this, you can keep coloring, and we're going to continue to the next step. Always check your time to see how much time you have left in class. If you have time, continue to the next step. If not, make sure to collect all the plastic bags with the names of the kids on it, so you don't have any kids that mix up their parts with other kids. So we're gonna put this aside. We have one more part we need to glue. Again, follow the lesson plan. The video is gonna be as close to the lesson plans as possible, but we're gonna do it quicker here. This video is just to give you pointers of what to notice. So we have these two parts we haven't glued yet. Really extremely easy to glue. The goal part, the gate part goes right here. Okay, you put some glue. Make sure there is no glue here on the surface because the servo needs to slide right in. So I'm going to glue this part, and then I'm going to glue this part on the bottom. I'm going to flip it and glue it on the bottom like this. If I'm not mistaken, this is the beginning of the lesson plan, so just make sure again to follow the lesson plans. And we have this ready. So we have this part. So far we have this part, we have the rectangular part and the triangle part, and these are the three parts. We're going to continue. Third lesson plan starts with this part and the two servos. We're going to start with one servo. Hand the servos to the students. Make sure you tell them that do not play with the servos, do not pull this, because if this rips, the servo is done, we can't fix it. So we need a servo, and for each servo we need two servo screws that are also called standard screws or 10 screws, and two regular lock nuts. Now, the way we work with servos for all the models, if I want the servo to face a certain way or a certain side, first I will insert the wire from that side. So for example, if we take this model, the servo should face here, the crack. So I'm not going to push it in from here, it's going to be impossible for me. So if I want it to face from this way, I should have the wire come from the direction I want it to face. So it's going to face from this side. For me, it's the right side of the gate. Okay, so first I'm going to insert the wire like this. Now, if you look carefully at the servo frame, you can see that on this side we have a round crack. Here you can also see the round crack here. This actually indicates where the wire should be. So should it be on the right side or on the left side? So here I can see the crack. So once I insert the wire, I know the side of the servo. Now I need to know the side of the wire, because it can be either like this or like this. So I'm gonna take the wire and walk it next to the crack as possible, and then I'm just gonna push the wire. I want to show you it in the back. I'm gonna push the wire like this, so the wire is already past the gate. The connection of the wire is past the gate. I'm gonna align the motor, the servo, and just push it in like this. So now, not only that I have the servo inserted correctly, I also have the wire facing the same way the crack is, the round crack. Now, I will take the screw, and just with my finger, I'm just going to put the lock nut on it. Now, sometimes it can be a little tricky, but let the kids handle this. Again, they need to learn how to work with the models. So they have the screw here. If you are not with the time according to the lesson plans and you want to rush it, you can always take the screw and put it from behind. This can save you time. So you can put the screw from behind and the lock nut in the front. And I did one like this and one like this to show you. So you can see that this one I did the screw from the front and the lock nut from the back, and this one I did the screw from the back and lock nut from the front. This is only a matter of time. When the lock nuts are in the front, you can do it quicker. So just look at the time, see how much time you have. Again, then you give them screwdrivers, give them safety instructions. Put your finger on the lock nut and just twist it to the right as tight as possible. 1 and 2. We do not tighten just one screw before we put both screws in, because if we tighten one, this hole might not be aligned and it's going to cause problems. So I put both screws in, only then I use a screwdriver to tighten them. Now once I'm done with this, I'm going to move to the next servo, and this is going to be the side servo. Same idea. So I want the servo to face here, okay? So both of the both of the hinges, the white hinges, are facing inside. So I'm gonna need it to face in. So like before, I'm gonna thread the wire like this, and now I see the crack is on top, so the wire should be on top. I'm gonna put it in and just slide the servo to its spot. Same thing, 2 screws, 2 lock nuts. I'm just gonna do it quickly. Same idea as the first servo. You can put it in the back, you can put it in the front, whatever works for you schedule wise, time wise, just do it. And again, even using a screwdriver, I'm not tightening this, it's still very loose, you see, because I need to put the other one first. Once I put the other one in and get the lock nut on it, only then I will tighten that up. So I'm going to put the other lock nut. Here we go, we have it on. Now that I have both screws and both lock nuts, I can tighten the first one with my finger and the screwdriver, and the second one. Now basically you're done with the screwdriver. Collect the screwdriver from all the students and put it aside. We don't need it anymore for this lesson plan. We will use it later for the next lesson plan. Now we're done with this, we're gonna put it aside. Again, check your time. If you have time, it will be nice to learn a little bit about a maze. If you look at the website, you will see that we have a strategy about the maze, how does a maze work, how to design a maze, and how to solve a maze, so you can use it with the kids. But be aware of the time. What I like to do usually is take a blank piece of paper, and a pen or a pencil, and we're going to actually design the maze. If you have time, if you have like 15-20 minutes left, this would be a great activity. If not, skip to the next part. And again, you will see it in the lesson plan. So basically what I'm doing, I'm going to take a pen or a pencil, and I'm just going to draw and follow the borders of the maze like you see me doing right now, like this. And then I'm going to mark the holes. Each hole will get a circle like this, and I'm going to do it quickly so we can continue. So I'm going to mark all the holes one by one. And this is really cool because they can actually work and learn how to build their maze according to their paper, and then they would actually use the parts to assemble the maze they just finished sketching. So I'm almost done. Here we go, a few more holes, and now I am done. And once I'm done, I'm gonna raise this, I'm gonna lift this, and then I have a sketch of a maze right here, and you can see the holes. And then I can start playing with the parts. I can decide to do the maze. I won't put straight parts here on the sides, on the holes closest to the wall, because it's just gonna, it's a marble, so the marble won't be able to go through here. So basically what I'm doing is I'm starting to design a maze. I need to choose a starting point. I will choose, for example, this side, and then I start doing the route. So I will put a piece here, and I can do this, and this, and this, and if this is my ending, I can come from here and do this, and come back, and close this, and so on. And I start sketching my maze and how I want it to look. And then I can take a different color and start marking the path of the marble. Where do I want it to go in order to solve the maze? I already have one prepared right here. So you can see the starting point, and you can see the track I want the maze to go and how I want it to look. Now this should take you around 10 minutes, and then you can use the other parts. You can start working with the other parts. These are the parts of the maze. You can start popping them out. Again, look at the time. If you have enough time, you can start popping these out. If you don't have time to do the sketch, skip it entirely and just go to the parts, and just you can kind of improvise a track for the maze, for the marble to go. But it's nicer to work like this. It's fun for the kids, so just be aware of the time. So pop these out, and then we're going to the next step, and the next step will be to actually push the parts. So I'm going to take one part, for example, here, push the parts into the maze like this, and then you can actually create the route with pushing the parts into the maze. Now I already prepared it in advance, So I have this track, and you can see the actual maze is the same as the track here. So if I have a marble, it will actually go this route on here. So I have the same maze according to the sketch. So I push everything. Now if you don't finish this when you start at the same lesson, you can take a few more minutes to finish it in the next lesson plan, which we're going to go through right now. So the next lesson plan is the 4th lesson plan, and I'm going to put this aside. And we're going to go back to these 2 pieces. So we're going to collect these 2 pieces, and then we're going to connect them together. So the servo head is going to be inserted in the crack right here. So I'm going to assemble this one on top of the other, and the servo head should face the servo. So it's going to be like this, and I'm going to hold this as straight as possible, not tilted, because I want it to be as straight as possible. I'm going to push it in like this. I'm going to push the servo head onto the servo like I showed you in the beginning of this video, and I push it in. Sometimes you need to use just a little bit of force to push it in, not too much because you may break the parts. And then I'm going to take a bug screw, and this bug screw actually is going to go into the middle right here, into the middle of the servo head, and I'm going to hand over screwdrivers to the students. Of course, every time we hand over the screwdrivers, we give them the safety instructions, and I'm going to screw it, and I'm going to twist it all the way in as tight as possible, and now I have this part. Now don't let the kids play with it like this. It can burn the motor, okay? So don't let them play with it. Just make it a checkpoint. Check all the models, check that they put it right, and then we're going to move to the next one. The next one will actually be also using this bug screw. So we are going to use this part, and we're going to connect them together. So all the kids should have one more extra bug screw and the plate. Now we have the servo head right here. Now this is the time, if you want to give them a few more minutes to finish the track, you can give them the 10 more minutes right now. If they're finished, you can continue to the next part. If not, give them 10 minutes to finish this part and then continue. I'm going to align this servo head with the side servo, and again I'm going to use a little force to push it onto it like this. So once I have it in, I am going to just a second, let me put some glue because it came apart. Okay, do not glue this to the motor, to the servo. I'm going to take this part, and I'm just going to push it in like this. I'm going to take the screw, and I'm going to take a screwdriver and just tighten this onto the servo, just as you see right now. And again, checkpoint, check for the kids that they did it right. And then the last one would be to connect this part, this side wall right here. You need a 15 screw, which is longer than the 10 screw. And I'm just going to put the screw right in from this side to this side. And I'm going to use a regular lock nut on the other side like this. And I'm just going to push it in. Now the trick is not to tighten this up. This part should not be tight, because if it's too tight, we are not going to be able to move the maze from side to side. Okay, so it needs to move freely. So this, you can see, has some space between the wood, so it's not tightened. It's enough. A few twists with the finger like this should be more than enough to hold it in its place. And basically we are done, and this is our maze. Make it a checkpoint. Make sure they did all the steps right. If you have time, carefully they can keep on assembling the track or coloring it. If you're done, make sure you let your supervisor know that you will be needing computer class soon programming the mazes. Again, follow the lesson plan step by step. If you have any questions, just let us know. If not, enjoy this amazing product.